Okay, so all of you should have learned how to write equations of lines in Algebra 1. And so for most of you, this is just kind of going to be a review of what you already know. Or I'm just going to kind of remind you of what you've learned, and it should be pretty easy. There are 3 steps to writing an equation. The first step we must do is that we have to find the slope. Now, we only have to find the slope if it's not given. But if it's not given, we will have to find it. You do have to know this formula, so go ahead and highlight it or circle it. Know that you have to know this because from now on, we just found out that the ACT no longer gives you formulas. And so when you take the math portion of the ACT, you have to know formulas like this to do well and to be successful. So we are now requiring you to know them and memorize them, so then your scores will be better for your ACTs. Once you find your slope, or the slope is already given to you, we are going to plug into point slope form. That is one of the forms of an equation that we talked about, or that was asked about in your bell ringer. So point slope, and you use this when you have a point, you're given a point and a slope. We're going to plug into that. And then finally, once we plug into point slope, we're going to manipulate it and get y alone. And when we get y alone, it's actually going to put it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So you probably want to make some note cards that have slope-intercept form on the front, the words, and then on the back it has the equation. And on the front it says point slope form. On the back it has y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we can remember those equations. Okay? All right, so let's look at number 1. In number 1, they give us they want us to write an equation in slope-intercept form that passes through the point 2, 5. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and label 2 and 5. I know this is my x, this is my y. It's the first set of points they gave me, so I'm going to put x1, y1. Okay? And then they nicely gave me the slope, so I don't have to find it, I just have to plug it in. So I'm given a point and the slope, so I'll plug it into point slope form. Okay? So I'm going to take the equation y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay? Did they give me just a regular y? No. So I bring down y minus, what was my y1? 5 equals, what does m stand for? The slope. So I'm going to put negative 3 for m. And then I wasn't given a regular x, so I'll leave x there, minus, what is x1? 2. Okay, so from there we distribute and we get y alone. So what are we distributing here? Negative 3. So I'm going to take negative 3 and I'm going to multiply it by both things in the parentheses. So I'm going to bring down y minus 5 equals negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And then this is like saying negative 3 times negative 2. What's negative times negative? Positive 6. Okay? And from there, how would I get y all by itself on this side? Add 5 to both sides. So this would give me y equals negative 3x plus 11. Okay? And so this is in the form of y equals mx plus b. Our m is negative 3, our b is 11. Does everybody see the form we're going for? Okay? How many of you vaguely remember this from algebra? All right. Let's look at another example. So in number 2, they give me my slope. So my slope is what letter? M. Okay? and the point it's passing through is 12, negative 1, so I'm going to go ahead and label x1, y1. And from there, I'm going to plug it straight into my point slope formula, since I'm given a point and the slope. So that's going to look like y minus, what is my y1? Okay, so what is minus a negative? It's actually a positive, so couldn't we just write y plus 1 equals our slope, which is 2/3, times x minus, and what's x1? 12. Okay, so from here we're going to distribute and then get y alone. So we're going to take 2/3 and we're going to multiply by both. Okay, so this gives me y plus 1 equals 2/3 x. And now a lot of people are unsure about how to multiply whole numbers and fractions. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to take negative 12 and I'm going to multiply that by 2/3. I think it's easiest to do that by making a negative 12 a fraction. So how could I make negative 12 a fraction? I put it over 1. So once I put it over 1, then all I do is I take my top numbers and I multiply them. So what is negative 12 times 2? Negative 24. And what is 1 times 3? 3. Okay? And negative 24 divided by 3 is negative 8. Okay? Now, Alex, is y all by itself? No. How do I get it by itself? Very good. You subtract 1 from both sides. So this is y equals 2/3 x minus 9. Okay, do I have questions so far? Okay, let's look at one more of those. So let's look at 3. So in number 3, they give us a slope. Our slope is negative 5/2, and then they tell me that it needs to pass through the point 6, negative 2. So I'm going to go ahead and label this x1 and y1. Okay? So I'm going to take this, since I have a point in the slope, I'm going to plug it into point slope form. So I would do y minus what? Negative 2. So minus a negative 2 is actually what? Plus 2. So we put y plus 2 equals m, which is our slope, so negative 5/2 times x minus my x1. What is x1? 6. Okay? So from here, we're just distributing our slope, and then we're going to get y by itself. So I'm going to take negative 5/2. I'm going to multiply it by x. So I'm going to bring down y plus 2 equals negative 5/2x. Okay, now I've got to multiply negative 6 times negative 5/2. So I'm going to take this negative 6, make it a 1. What's a negative 6 times a negative 5? A positive 30. Okay, and 1 times 2 is 2. So what would that reduce to? 15. So this would actually be plus 15. Okay, now how do we get y by itself? Subtract 2 from both sides. And that's going to give us y equals negative 5/2x plus 13. Okay, any questions at all? Y'all feel good about this? Okay, what about if you are given something like 5, where we are just given 2 points? What are we going to have to do first? Very good. We're going to label x1, y1, since this is the first point they gave me. 6, 7 is the second point, so this would be x2, y2, and we're going to have to plug into the slope formula. So that would be y2 minus y1, 7 minus 3, over x2 minus x1, so 6 minus 4. 7 minus 3 is 4, and 6 minus 4 is 2. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. So our slope is actually 2. Now, if I'm plugging in to point slope form, which set of points up here would I use? Why the first ones? Very good. They're x1 and y1. So we would do y minus y1, which is 3, equals our slope, which is 2, times x minus x1, which is 4. So from there, we just distribute our 2. So I'm going to do 2 times x and 2 times 4. So this is y minus 3 equals 2x minus 8. How would I get y by itself? Add 3 to both sides. And y would equal 2x minus 5. Okay, so doing slope with all positive numbers is really, really easy. A lot of people start making mistakes when we have negatives. So I want to look at a few that have negatives just to make sure we know how to do those. So let's look at 8 first. So number 8, again, go ahead and start with labeling your points. So I'm going to label, since this is the first that they gave me, this is going to be x1 and y1. This is the second set of points, so this is going to be x2, y2. Now I'm going to plug into my slope formula. So on top, I have y2 minus y1. So 4 minus 7 over, and then I do x2 minus x1. So x2 is negative 6 minus negative 1, minus x1, which is negative 4. Okay? So what have we been doing when it's minus a negative? We just change it to adding, right? So I'm going to change both of these signs to adding. So 4 minus 7 is a negative 3. Negative 6 plus 4 is a negative 2. Now, is 3 divisible evenly by 2? No, so we'd leave it like that, but what do I need to simplify? The negatives. What is a negative divided by a negative? A positive. So my slope would actually be positive 3 over 2. Okay, yes?
If you could simplify the fraction, would you simplify it?
Yes. Like if it was 8 over 4, we would reduce that. Or if it was 3 over 6,
Yeah, would you simplify it?
yes, you would simplify it to 1/2. Okay, now from there we're going to plug into our point slope formula. So am I using these points or these points? The first points, okay? So we're going to do y minus y1, y minus 7 equals our slope, which is 3 over 2, times x. And then if it's minus a negative 4, what do we write? Plus 4. Okay? From there, we distribute. So we take 3 over 2, and we multiply it by both things. So that's going to be y minus 7 equals 3 over 2x plus 6. Okay? From there, we add 7 to get y alone. And so y equals 3 over 2x plus 13. Okay, any questions about any of those steps? Okay, we're going to do one more with a negative, and then we'll talk about vertical and horizontal lines. So let's look at 9. In 9, what's the very first thing that I want to do? Label my points. So I'm going to do x1, y1, x2, and y2. Okay? So, Christian, if I was setting up to solve for slope, what would that look like? Okay, so if we want to follow the equation, we do y2 minus y1. So we do negative 12 plus 7 over negative 4 plus 2. If you keep it consistent, though, Christian, like you did, it would work the other way as well. Okay? So a negative 12 plus 7 is what? A negative 5. Okay? And a negative 4 plus 2 is a negative 2. Okay? And so a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So my slope would be positive 5 over 2. Okay, Emma, which set of points am I going to use? The first one, because we're using x1 and y1. Okay, so we're going to take these and plug it into y minus y1. So if it's y minus negative 7, that's actually y plus 7 equals our slope, which is 5 over 2 times x minus a negative 2, which is actually x plus 2. From there, we distribute our 5 over 2 to both things. So I bring down y plus 7 equals 5 over 2 times x is 5 over 2x. And then 5 over 2 times 2 is 5. Okay, and then how do I get y by itself? Very good. We subtract 7 from both sides. So y equals 5 over 2x minus 2. Okay, so everybody's perfectly fine with all of those. Okay, let's talk about vertical and horizontal lines next then. Okay, so looking at 13 through 18, all of these are either a vertical or a horizontal line. So let's talk about really quick vertical and horizontal lines and our x and y axis. So if this is my x and y axis, which one is the x? The vertical or the horizontal line? The horizontal. So this is my x, which means the vertical is my y. Okay? Now, if a point passes through x, and I'll do this in color. If it's going to pass through the x-axis, is it going to go horizontally or is it going to go vertically? Vertically. Okay? So if it touches the x-axis, it's going to be a vertical line. Okay? Now, if it touches the y-axis, what type of line is it going to be? A horizontal. Okay? So you're going to want to know this. Now, do y'all know what the slope is when it's going straight across and it never changes? Very good. So this slope would be 0. What about this slope? Very good. It's undefined. Perfect. Okay? So let's talk through these. This one says passes through -5, -4, and has a slope, or has a 0 slope. Now let's say we're going to plug into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 to put it in slope-intercept form. We would get y minus a negative 4, so y plus 4 equals, our slope is 0 times x minus a negative 5, so plus 5. What happens when we distribute the 0? It gives us all 0, and we're just left with y plus 4 equals 0. What do you think we would do from there? Subtract 4 from both sides, and so y would equal negative 4. That would be our equation for the graph. Okay? So, does that make sense to you guys? Okay, let's try, what if it's vertical? So we know 0 slope, but then it says it's vertical. So if I plug in, what slope is vertical? Undefined. Can you multiply by undefined? Okay, so you have to know what type of graph is vertical. So we said that a vertical line is what? Where it passes through what letter? X. Okay? So anytime you see vertical, it's going to be x equals something. Okay? Now, in this first one, do you think it's a coincidence that we got y equals negative 4 and y was negative 4 in the beginning? No, it is not a coincidence. So, what do you think x is going to equal if our point's supposed to pass through 12, 5? Very good, 12. So it would be x equals 12. Okay. Now, 15 says passes through 4, negative 3, and has an undefined slope. So undefined, does that go with x or y? X. So it would be x equals what? 4. Perfect. Exactly what you're given. Okay. And then 16 says passes through negative 2, negative 5, and is horizontal. So what letter is that? Y. And what would y equal? Negative 5. Very good. Are there any questions on those so far? Those are my favorite type of equations. What about y'all? They're easy. Okay? Now, if you were given points and you had to find the slope first and then you realized it may be a vertical or horizontal line, that's what I want you to see now, just so you can recognize it. So here, if I labeled x1, y1, x2, and y2, if I plugged it into my slope formula, I would get 6 minus 3 over negative 10 minus a negative 10, so negative 10 plus 10. 6 minus 3 is 3. Negative 10 plus 10 is 0. So do you think, would the denominator being 0 be undefined, or would it be 0? It would be undefined, because you can't have a denominator of 0. So if it's undefined, what would the equation look like? X equals what? Okay, what's an easy way to identify that before you ever plug into the formula? Very good. If you look at both x's, they're negative 10, which means if they're the same number, it's going to end up giving you a 0 either on top or on the bottom. So this should tell you immediately that x equals negative 10. Okay? Now, what do you notice on 18? The y's are the same. So what type of slope would it be then if it was just y equals? Okay, so our slope would equal 0. And what would our equation be? Y equals 4. Perfect. Okay, any questions there?